Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Slow Pitch City in Dorchester for the SPO Miken Elimination Championship. Ryan Robinson alongside Mark Regan, and Mark, a little bit better weather than last night. We will get to see the Orioles tonight, though, and a highly offensive team. I know they eventually, when they did get it to play last night, the offense came in a big way.
Yeah, you know, the Orioles are a team you can always count on for putting on a show. As I said last night at the beginning of the game, they are the royalty of slow pitch here in Ontario and definitely in Canada. And so at every age level, they're covered in their 20s, the 30s, and the 40-year-olds. They all represent, and they're going to put on a show today.
They will be taking on the Mets, and for them, it's one of those spots where when you're playing the royalty teams, we've seen it last night when the Naturals were playing the Rays. It was a spot where maybe a team that is looking to get up to that next echelon, but a team that's going to go pretty well head-to-head.
Well, that's the beauty of this tournament. It allows teams to work their way up. When you have to win, you got to play the best at some point. So to be the best, you have to beat the best.
Spot today where we're going to see two men's games. This one, a ladies' game coming up in our second game, and got the Orioles this time around. We'll have the Ladybirds a little later on. So it's a as you say, a franchise that covers age and gender as well too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's multiple sponsorships going on around here in Ontario, where teams are sponsored by the same owner or the same company, and in this case you got the Orioles and their compatriots, the Ladybirds, another top team in Ontario.
As far as for the Mets, what are we expecting out of them? Because obviously you got to be a pretty good ball team to stand up in this A division.
Yeah, with the Mets coming up, obviously they have to stay with the Orioles. They can't get the Orioles up above them, where if the Orioles get some momentum and start to create a big gap in the score, the Mets will probably get down. It's one of those, it's a natural tendency with teams who don't compete at the top level all the time, so they really have to stay with them, scoring every single inning. You cannot have an inning without runs in slow pitch.
What about that game last night? Because it took about an hour and a half of a rain delay before they got to that game. It almost seemed like both teams even took a couple innings to really get back into it, because once you get yourself amped up for the game and then you got to sit down, it definitely takes some time.
Yeah, like any sport, when there's a delay in the game, whether it's weather related or otherwise, obviously it's going to take a bit of momentum to regrow. And so in the case last night with the Orioles, I know that both teams were kind of slow out of the gates as they resumed. It was close to 10 o'clock last night before they started, and it took 2 or 3 innings for the Orioles to get the bats going and the defense flying, but then they scored 25 plus runs.
This afternoon we will see, as I mentioned, the 2 games we have, but then the men's A division will see another game coming up at 5 o'clock. We will have the 8:30 game tonight, and that will be the kind of the creme de la creme, if you will, of undefeated teams in our evening match tonight.
Yeah, this is the pinnacle of the Eliminations tournament. Everybody knows they need to get to that Saturday night game, and getting to the Saturday night game undefeated is very, very big. Obviously, each team is winning. If they win on Saturday night, they get to go to the final on Sunday, waiting for the other teams to crawl back and grind back, winning twice. Of course, having to beat you twice in the final is a big task.
All right, as we turn our attention to the field, as both teams are getting warm-ups in place, and a spot here where the other thing, too, is we will have 2 games coming up on a Sunday as well. That'll be the 12:30 and then the 2 o'clock game as well, so we will see who makes an appearance. I know, as you said, the Orioles have quite a bit of experience, so we could see them again. The Naturals put up a really great effort last night as well. They're a highly offensive team, so it'll be interesting to see. I'm really excited to see what the Mets have to bring into the table, because we haven't seen a whole lot of them quite yet.
Yeah, you know, there's nothing like the spoiler in the tournament. Everybody's expecting tonight's matchup between the Naturals and the Orioles, the top 2 seeded teams coming into the tournament of the 19 teams. So the Mets are ready to be the spoiler and show up tonight ready to play.
As everybody gets ready, and the fun part of here at the Slow Pitch City, everybody goes their different routes. The Mets are going to they'll go the line high fives going down to get things going here. Yet again, another experienced crew on the umpiring side, and these guys, especially in the conditions, the rain has started to come down a little bit. Not nearly as hard as last night, though. So we'll see if that takes an effect, because it's a spot where it'll be interesting to see how a slick infield, and maybe I find sometimes, Mark, is it more so the outfield that becomes a differentiating factor when you've got a little bit of wetness going on?
Well, you look at the infield here. Last night, this infield was completely underwater at 9:30. Today, it's showing very little of the evidence of last night's rain. And as you said, the outfield, it's not like the grounds crew is coming out to the outfield to take care of the puddles and make sure that it's nice and dry for the outfielders. So there's a lot of slipping and sliding out there as an outfielder when it gets wet.
As we try and get the tarps up a little bit here as best we can, but well, we all know the wind's going to come in and we're going to completely lose the tarps. But as you see there, the rain is coming down at the 45-degree angle on the outfield right now. And across Diamond 1 here as we are at Slow Pitch City in Dorchester.
The other factor that the wind will have in today's game, it's cooler temperatures, and when the air is cooler and slow pitch, the ball stays much harder. Now, these balls are considered restricted flight baseballs, but with the size and strength of these players, these 315-foot fences are no match for their bats and their batting ability. So the ball in the cold weather stays harder longer. Ryan, I think we're going to see some home runs this afternoon.
Be fun to see, and as the Orioles get the final work in on their pregame infield work, the Mets will be the first ones at the bats. Labeled the Route 22 Mets, and then obviously the Miken and many other things Orioles on their name as well for the sponsorship list.
Well, one of the reasons why teams pick up so many different sponsors is because the cost of playing in these tournaments through the summer is extensive. These guys will play in 10 tournaments through the course of the summer across Ontario, and if they're all from outside of the London area and you're coming down here to Slow Pitch City at least a half dozen times for tournaments, add up hotel costs, gas, food. This is not a cheap sport to play at this level, so as much sponsorship as they can get is huge for them to be able to play it and compete regularly.
As we see, for folks who haven't joined us so far throughout our at least one and a bit of game of coverage here so far, the pitchers do wear the extra protective equipment. That's John Evans out on the mound for the Orioles, and some will call it the goalie mask, but it has become a standard really in slow pitch, especially when you get to this high level, with just how strong these men are when they hit that ball back through the middle.
It truly is, and to remember too, at this level, there's only 3 outfielders in the field. That they play a 5-man infield, the extra infielder in the middle, and so oftentimes players will get up and try and drive the ball on either side of the pitcher, opposite where the strength of the infield is set up. And you see that, of course, in Major League Baseball. When the infielders will play the pull, teams will try to push the ball away, while when you're a pitcher in slow pitch and you're only standing 70 feet away and it's hit very hard back at you, I think I'd be wearing a goalie mask as well.
I know, Mark, you were telling me a story last night of one game you were playing of a pitcher who was wearing basically head-to-toe armory.
Yes, I got up. I was the leadoff hitter in a tournament in Quebec, and I turned to look at this pitcher wearing a face mask, a chest protector, and full lacrosse shin pads.
As Cam Stewart is the first at-bat, and he lines out to the first baseman for the first out.
That's a good start for the Orioles. Hit hard right at the first baseman. Jeff Filardo, simple play, 1 away.
Matt Dowden now. Tailing high fly ball to right field. Moving in to make the catch.
Now the Mets can't start here with a goose egg in the top of the first inning. They really can't against the Orioles. These guys have to start to drive the ball through the gaps, get some players on base, hit some multi-run home runs if they're going to, and have to score, I would say, 4 or 5 in this first inning to make a statement.
They're going to need Justin Pennell here to step up in a big way. Illegal is the call. Just a reminder to folks, even though the umpire says it's illegal and it does count as a ball, still take a cut at it. And a big cut indeed out to center field on a hop to break to the fence. And Justin Pennell is going to get one in here to be the first base runner here for the Mets.
See the beauty of that swing. Big load on that back foot and drives with a long swing right through the middle of the ball. Hits it into the gap with a stand-up double. Great swing.
Darren McEwen now. A few creative chirps going on from the Orioles side.
Well, when two teams are this close with the benches about 30 feet apart, you hear every word that the other team says.
And we get the fun position of being right in the middle of them. As that shot goes to center field, easily picked up by the center fielder, so the Mets get only the one hit. In the inning, and
it's a big start for the Orioles on defense. Make them feel very comfortable. Now they're coming up in the driver's seat, bottom of the first inning. It's their opportunity to score some runs. Try and put the Mets in a deficit, put them in a hole. Psychologically, when you're playing the perennial winning team, you know starting out with a 0 in the top of the first inning isn't the way to go.
So we'll get things going here. As Justin Pennell is the pitcher.
And unlike John Evans, there he stands without any gear on. He's braver than I am.
Go in the opposite direction.
One of the things that the people will notice is that the pitchers throw the ball. It has to be thrown between 6 and 12 feet in the arc, or it's called illegal. Now, if it's illegal and the pitcher or the batter doesn't swing, it's considered a ball, but it doesn't mean the batter does not have to swing. They can still swing at an illegal pitch if they think they can hit it.
I've heard of some guys that if a pitcher will throw a 4-foot pitch, sometimes that could be dangerous for anybody in the middle infield because that thing will come back and whistling.
Absolutely. The ball still only comes in, 6-7 miles an hour. It's certainly not a fastball. So if you throw a pitch that's belt high, guys are going to drive it.
And the other thing you got to remember is a lot of these guys coming from that hard ball background growing up, they can get that bat to ball pretty quick. And when you slow it down to 6-7 kilometers an hour, it can get out of here in a quick way.
Yeah. This certainly is. This is a hitter's game, and that's the beauty of it too. Is you have to be fantastic on defense to take hits away. So Wayne Perrant here, the leadoff hitter for the Orioles. Watch, he stays way back in the box, and you'll see him take a crossover step to drive through the ball.
Shot comes through, that one pushed to the right field side. So Perrant will pick up a single here to start the game.
You'll see some players on the team take that crossover step with their back foot. It allows them to position their body, get their arms extended, and drive the ball as Wayne did there. He's a right-handed batter, but has power the opposite way to right field.
Rob Sitchu, the center fielder here for the Orioles, stepping in is with a man on now. Outside pitch comes back in and catches the back of the mat. Shot to center field, now one tails back and picked up here. Tagging on the play was Wayne Perrant, but decides to hang on there, just maybe the fake to check to a second just to see if they were throwing in a quick way.
Yeah, I think obviously the Orioles are going to try and pressure the defense into making some errors and give them some easy runs.
So one on here with one out in the first inning. That one's just deep, so reminder, still starting with the 1-1 count to keep things quickened up. Another outside pitch. Got 3-1 the count here. Outside pitch, that one catches the top of the bat. And that one will fall for the second out of the inning. So 2 out now with 1 on here for the Orioles.
You need to try and get some hits together here. Obviously, you don't want to tie the game at 0-0 after 1 inning, so you're going to try and score a run or 2 here. There's 7 home runs in the game. Perhaps this is an opportunity to try and hit one out of the park to score 2 quick runs.
And it's very much for those who, we've talked about it last night, the fact that this is nowhere near your weekend recreational league. These gentlemen take it seriously, and that's a high fly ball to left field. And they are there, so that is the 3rd out of the inning. So the Orioles go down quietly in the first, both sides, only with the one so far.
Well, that's a boost of confidence for the Mets. It was pretty simple for them. Not a lot of work for the outfield. Some fly balls, easy to catch. Now the Orioles got to come out and do the same thing. Play some good defense, see if John Evans can force the batters into hitting some balls they don't want to swing at.
So nothing after the first. Only a single hit each side.
And it really, and we mentioned this last night too, Ryan. We talked about the psychological side of the game, but you see it obviously in professional baseball too with the Blue Jays and other teams. Hitting truly is contagious. I don't understand what it is. It's psychological, that old word momentum. It is a monstrous part of this game of slow pitch. I've seen some incredible comebacks. I've seen teams score 10, 12, 15 runs with 2 out where every single batter just makes a great swing, hits the ball hard. There's nothing the defense can do, and suddenly, games that you think are over or games that are tight just blow wide open, and all done with 2 outs. And again, where does it come from? Where does that momentum come from? Psychologically, there's just something about when you get up to bat, you just know you're going to get a hit.
How many times we heard people talk about those Jays of passing the baton, and it seems to be the way of everybody when you get on a roll. We saw it with the Naturals last night. They put up a big second inning where they batted around the order. Outside pitch, that one crushed to center field, and it's on a line, picked up by the center fielder. And we have 1 out.
If you notice, both pitchers are having to deal with a crosswind. So the wind's blowing from first to third, and when the pitchers are throwing, they'll throw it with a spin, and it's turning from with the left-handed batters, they're inside to the outside, and for the right-handed batters, it's coming from the outside across right in on their hands. And the difficult, too, is a knuckleball. When you throw the knuckleball, it just changes direction so many ways with this crosswind.
Chopper to the shortstop side, throws through. And out is the call at first. It's Jimmy Britton trying to get something going there, just couldn't get much on it. The other thing I think, Mark, to remind people of the amount of infielders is sometimes a surprise. And I know when you're writing down positions, as we do for scoring the game, it's the middle infield position because they'll shift back and forth.
Absolutely, a middle infielder in slow pitch. Most teams are used to having 4 outfielders. In fact, teams used to use a rover. They'd put their best player in whatever position they thought the batter would hit it to, but that doesn't exist anymore.
Thank you.
Outside pitch just catches that corner. That's the other thing, as Mark mentioned, going to be a tough time for the hitters. Gets underneath that one, but gives it a pretty good ride. Out to left field and catches it right up against the fence. Nice move there.
You could see that wind was drifting the ball deeper and deeper and deeper. The outfielder had to find the fence. Just as he got to the fence, the ball came down.
So through 1.5. Both teams having a bit of a tough time getting things going here, but only a hit or 2 each side for the Orioles and the Mets as we continue coverage here at the SPO Miken Elimination weekend here at Slow Pitch City in Dorchester. Always a big thanks to the folks at Slow Pitch Ontario and the folks here at Slow Pitch City for having us here on Rogers TV.
It's a mid-Saturday afternoon game. As you get deeper into this tournament, you'll find that the guys are either in a rhythm and they're all hitting really well, or they get a bit of a funk like this and have to work desperately through it, grind it out till they get their swing back.
Go ahead. Take it right away next time.
My favorite is sometime, especially in slow pitch, you get guys in the big leagues where they have a bit of a different, some have a little crux to the swing or something like that, but here in slow pitch, everybody's got their own style.
Yeah, there are different stances. They play and stay in different places on in the batter's box. You'll see bats held nice and high. You'll see other bats down and low behind the ear. Some guys tap the bat on their shoulder as a rhythm to get into that loading on the back foot for the swing. In the end, it really matters how you finish driving through the ball.
There's not a whole lot of guys that'll crowd the plate too much, especially because you want to be able to move that front foot around to kind of guide where your swing's going to go as well. Big Big toe jump there. Had the leg kick going and big chopper through the middle. As this will be the first runner of the inning.
Kyle was just trying to drive that ball down along the ground either side of the pitcher. He got a top half of the ball and was lucky enough that it bounced hard on this infield over top of the pitcher's head through.
James Kelly now playing that middle infield position. Haven't seen him hit too much yet, but I have a feeling he can probably tag a ball pretty good.
Yeah, James is a veteran player. He's a big man, but he's an outstanding athlete with his size.
Inside pitch. As the rains start to calm down a little bit here. Pitch comes inside. That one's hard to the left-hand side and well foul. Look out if you're in the parking lot.
Well, there's an advantage here to the pitcher. He's got 2 strikes on the batter as they start with that 1-1 count. James Kelly really has to have good mat plate coverage here. Any pitch that he thinks is going to hit that mat, he's got to be at it.
Pitch comes in and floats inside, and he just throws his hands at it, and that one too will hook to the left-hand side and foul. So that'll be the first out of the inning. A reminder to folks that you foul out for the 3rd strike, you're out. It's not, you don't get to keep cutting.
Oh, that was a fantastic pitch. That ball started out on the far side of the mat and started to curl and curve back in towards James's hands, and by the time he finished his swing, he was jammed and had his hands come through too quickly and pulled a foul for the 3rd strike. First out of the inning.
Ron Adeline now, the right fielder for the Orioles. Their inside pitch comes through.
Ron's another outstanding player. Just recently represented Canada in the border battle with Team Canada versus the United States down in Oklahoma last weekend.
Hard shot over the 3rd, over to 1st. Gets the double play.
That's defense.
That ends the inning there as well. So get another look at it. As the play over to 1st. Gets the double play. And we will take a quick break and have the 3rd inning up next here on Rogers TV.